To put them within 2 points. And the next game, of course, another Navy team will be in action. The Navy Blues versus Havelocks. So here we are starting off proceedings in the third of the Cup quarterfinals. Navy Blues, ironically playing in more white than blue. The Havelocks, runners-up in the 15s competition, aiming to show what they are made of here as well.
Yes, Havelocks, all the starting slow, just like Siad picked their game up as the tournament progressed yesterday. Looked very sharp in that game against Air Force, although they went down. So I'm sure they will fancy their chances against this Navy Blues outfit. So we have play seems to have stopped for an injury.
Looks like it might be a shoulder. This is where the 15s coaches will be tearing their hair out. Won't want to lose a key player. Looks like it's a head knock, so most people will argue that's the easiest injury to cure in a rugby player, although that argument will be completely inaccurate. Looks like they're doing an HIA here on the field. And looks like two Havies players will have to go off in the first stage of play, really. And this is a big blow to Havelocks. Hopefully they'll be able to come back after they pass their assessments. But it means that the replacements have to come in pretty quickly. And Umesh Madhushan, the big forward, big second row forward for Havelocks, reluctantly walking on. Doesn't look like he wanted to be involved in this game from the start. Big forwards don't love sevens rugby.
Especially if they find themselves out on the wing one-on-one.
Janit Rambukkanage trots back after his services are not needed. And Madhushan showing his scrumming prowess but conceding the penalty. And that's a lovely little offload. He will be run down. Manages to find a support player, but he can't hang on to the ball. And it's defense turned into attack now for Havies. It's not rolling away, says the referee. A good quick call there from him. Nice little jinxing run from Havies, and a wonderful little offload as well by their number 14.
Yes, it's the brothers linking up there, the Fernando brothers. Ramesh and Ravin working in tandem, keeping the ball alive. Varnapura trying to create something. Needs to stay in field, which he's unable to do so. Bundled into touch. Some good desperate defense by the Navy Blues. Keeping the scoreboard 0-all so far.
Yes, a Navy defense, whoever has been drilling them has been doing really well, because they've obviously been playing against their A side, these Blues, and their defensive discipline has been excellent. Still 0-all. It's unusual to see in a game of rugby sevens. It's almost half the first half done. Choosing to having really no option but some risky play just outside their own line, and breaking away is Navy, but the referee spotted a knock on. So flirting with a lot of danger there, trying to run it out from behind their own try line, Abdullah.
Yeah, that's right. Saw that a couple of instances yesterday as well. Teams on their goal line, just doing a lot of passes, always a very risky option. Know that the kicking is not, it's rather frowned upon in sevens rugby, but just feel that when you're on your goal line, that's always a safe option. As we find Ravin Fernando feeding that ball on the scrum, breaks on the blind side, and looks like he will go over for the first try. So some good work by the young of the Fernando siblings. Going over for Havelock's first try. So halfway into this first half, Havelocks go 5 points to 0 up.
Ravin Fernando has outstandingly quick feet and so low to the ground as well. Here he goes, just trying to pick his spot. Could probably have ducked under that tackle. Former Peter Wright scrum half and winger. Now turning out for the Park Club and scoring the first try. Chanaka Chandimal playing in an unaccustomed position of prop forward. He's a veteran now, so he's been relegated to the forwards, but still will take up the kicking duties. Very different from his fly half position in the 15s game. Navy's defense is up really quickly, really putting pressure on the ball, surrounding the ball carrier like an umbrella. Here's Chandimal showing that fly half prowess that he had, but unfortunately the ball not going into the hand of his support player. Trying to find Randita Varnapura, but the Navy player managed to intercept, and here's a run by Eranga De Silva, the captain of the Navy Blues, manages to get the ball back in his hands again. And Madhushan, no clear release, says, and the referee looked like he might have been reaching for his pocket. Yes, he is. So very quick to say that any kind of foul play or cynical play will be punished to the fullest. There's the ball right out in front of the man. 3 players in the tram lines for Navy. Again, a high tackle, says the referee. It will be Randita Varnapura who's penalized there, and the Navy number 11, that's Dimut Pereira, will go down in a heap.
Yes, this game seems to be following the same trend as the previous one, isn't it, Shanak? In this first half, Havelocks dominating position and territory to a great extent, but just have got the 5 points to show for it. And even in the previous game, we were talking about whether the Navy A team will wilt in that second half, which wasn't the case. So Havelocks will need to be a bit careful. Just 5 points to 0 up. They're a player down as well.
Yes, this is a crucial time in this match, not just this half, and indeed for the tournament as well. Just 6 men on the park for Havelocks, and Navy will realize that this is their moment to really capitalize, stretch the Havies defense, maintain their width, and try not to fumble the ball, which is exactly what they do. So playing advantage, Umesh Madhushan coming out of the ruck and manages to find himself in a little bit of space. This is unfamiliar territory for the second rower, but has done well. Manages to get the offload away, but links up only with Dimut Pereira. And Dimut Pereira now trying to find his way onto the outside, cutting back inside. Is the Navy player running around 2 of his players, but not really infringing. So Dhananjaya Kumara who made that run, but the ball is available once again, and now Havelocks will try to run it into the corner, but they'll get called back for an offside call. I was wondering why that wasn't picked up earlier.
Yeah, that's right. It was definitely offside because the ruck seemed to have been formed. This is the final play of this first half. And if the Navy Blues can get a score here, they'll be very pleased with their efforts in this first half. Taken a quick tap, creating a phase, attacking through the fringes. Just need to get a bit more width on the ball, which they're doing now. Again, cutting in, trying to brush off a couple of defenders. Don't think he released the tackle there, and not supporting his body weight as well.
Referee calling him back to take it from the correct mark, and this time it's Chatra Gomez stepping back infield, and this is Navy with their first try. He tries not to dot it down, come nearer to the posts, but in the end Chatra Gomez, or Eranga de Silva in fact, the captain of the Navy Blues team, gets the first try. So Navy's defense, that was Ravin Fernando shooting up and not forming a disciplined line there. It was the second player, Ramesh Fernando, who didn't shoot up with Ravin. The conversion is a stray, so it'll be 5-all at the end of another very tense half of rugby.
Yes, and you'd have to say that Navy will be the happy of the two teams. They're doing a lot of defending in that first 5 minutes. They're 5 points to nil down, but just as the game progressed and on the stroke of half.
Back live now from the Racecourse grounds. We are midway through the third quarterfinal, the third cup quarterfinal I should say, between Havelocks and Navy Blues. The Navy Blues scoring in the last movement of the first half to come on level pegging with on the score sheet with Havelocks, who've lost a couple of men to injury in the first minute of the game. It'll run down the first the touch line, but unfortunately the offloads for Havies have been finding the Navy team more than the Havelocks support players. And unfortunately that big run down the corner by Nishan Pereira not coming to much as they gave Navy the ball. They've managed to retrieve it now. And Ramesh Fernando manages to give that ball away to Randita Varnapura, who will run around and score the first try of the second half for Havelocks.
Yes, good response by Havelocks. Good start to the second half. Looks like they brought their talisman Mithun Hapugoda onto the field as well, Shanaka. So just look at that little bit of clever play. Got the ball out to Ravin Fernando, using his brute power to brush off a couple of Navy defenders and hand it over to Varnapura for the score. So that was an impressive phase of play for as far as Havelocks are concerned.
Second time we've seen that Ramesh Fernando back of the hand little flick. Abdullah looks like he controls that quite well, as the conversion is good from Hapugoda as well, so manages to give them the 7-point buffer, but certainly wasn't enough for CI in the last game. So let's wait and see how this match pans out.
Absolutely, Shanik. And just coming back to Ramesh Fernando, made his debut in the Commonwealth Games. I think he's a real prospect. Seems to have put on a bit of size since leaving St. Peter's as well. Very powerful runner. You see Hapugoda getting ready to take the kick off.
So it's important for Navy that they get some possession from this, which is what they do. Holding up the defensive tackle, and that's a good little bit of play from Hiranta Pereira. Again, fly off or center, turn prop in the sevens game, showing his strength.
Yes, Havelocks seem to have brought down their big guns in the second half, isn't it, Shanaka? I'm not sure whether it was planned as such, but Hapugoda, Hiranta Pereira, all big impact players brought in the second half.
Coach Lakala Pereira probably realizing that this is a long tournament, Abdullah, and the conditions are not the easiest. It's a blisteringly hot day. So he's using his entire squad, which is intelligent from him. But unfortunately, Mithun's little slate of hand play doesn't find a support player.
Yes, and also with the rolling subs coming into play as well, you can take your best players off and bring them back later on as well. So that kind of rotation, that kind of planning is also critical from the coach's point of view. The thing with Hapugoda is he will always create something, but it's always a 50-50 play, isn't it? Sometimes it looks spectacular. Remember that no-look overhead pass he did during the Commonwealth Games. Again, there were a few errors that went with it that didn't quite work out well, so it's a bit of a 50-50 call as Navy launch an attack from their own half.
Spinning out of that tackle, that was their talisman, Dhananjaya Kumara. Unfortunately for Navy, they spill the ball, and it's going to be an expensive spill as well, as Ramesh Fernando reaches that left hand out and dots the ball down. So Navy looked for all money, like they had an opportunity at that point, with Dhananjay bursting out and creating some space, but in the end, that knock on just there was exactly what the doctor did not want for Navy. And despite the best efforts of Dimut Pereira, Ramesh Fernando manages to dot it down.
So Navy with that, Havelocks rather, with that second try, probably can breathe a bit easier. Hapugoda with the conversion. Yes, manages to slot it over, so further extending that lead. 19 points to 5. Probably just over a couple of minutes to go, so Navy sitting pretty as of now. It's definitely fair to say, Shanaga, the impact of Hapugoda and players like Hiranda Pereira have definitely made a difference in this second half.
Oh, without a doubt, Abdullah. Just bringing him on creates so much of panic in a defensive side as well, isn't it? So it's not just what he does, it's just his presence on the field as well. Players, the defensive team knows that he can spark something out of nothing, and even though you did mention quite correctly that comes off maybe 50% of the time if you're lucky, but the fact that he can do it creates that pressure in the defensive minds and always keeps defensive lines guessing. So that's the impact he can have. Ball taken in front of the 10 meters, referee allowing play to go on. Navy chose to play that ball, so they won't get another opportunity. Penalty, leaving their feet and just playing the scrum half that time was the Navy team. So Mithun Hapugoda will now just want to keep the ball in hand, try to create a few options. Nice little offload in close quarters that time from Nishan Pereira for what looks like a try for Damien Ratwatta, wearing that blue headband. And yes, it is a try. So managing to manufacture something out of absolutely no space. Here it is, Nishan Pereira, lovely little short offload. And Damien Ratwatta may have lost a yard of pace, but had enough to get him into the corner there.
It's good work by Nishan. Got round his immediate defender, but what he did well was he straightened it up, isn't it? And just created that little bit of extra room for Ratwatta to just waltz over for Havelock's fourth try. Conversion just goes across the upright. Score will remain 24 points to 5. So eventually, Shanaga, after a bit of jitters in that first half, or going into the second half, Havelocks have really turned it on in this second session and put in a pretty impressive performance.
Yes, they're big players. They're good ball handlers, have really come into focus. They've managed to get them the ball in dangerous positions. And that's what's made the difference against this disciplined Navy Blues team that have tried their best, but just haven't been able to handle the ball as well as they would have liked. And it looks like that's the end of the game. In fact, it is 24 points to 5 is how Havelocks are runaway winners in this third quarterfinal, booking their place in the Cup semi. And they will meet the winners of the next one between Police and Air Force, and that's going to be a cracker of a match if yesterday's proceedings are anything to go by. So congratulations to Havelocks for booking the third